Yeah.
Hello everybody, Savat the Mighty here, and I'm back with another Eve Echoes video. So we're back again on the Fulmination test server, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Apocalypse. So we already have taken a look at the Apocalypse before on this channel, but we took a look at the Apocalypse from the standpoint of a long-range fit, something that I would probably end up using whenever I do pick up the Apocalypse. Today we're actually going to take a look at the Apocalypse in a close range, more of a brawling fit. I do say close range in the loosest of terms, as even its close range does have some pretty decent range. Alright, so before we get started, if you do like my content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content in the future. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. Alright, so the Amara Apocalypse is going to be a Tier 9 battleship. It should be releasing fairly soon, but there still is no release date on it. So what it's going to get is for large laser operation bonus, per level it's going to get 7.5% large laser optimal range and 7.5% large laser tracking speed per level. For every level of battleship command bonus, it's going to get plus 5% scan resolution as well. Its basic info, we're looking at overall defense of 66,129, a flight velocity of 123, warp speed of 2 AUs, power grid output of 13,271 megawatts, capacitor of 15,280 gigajoules, cargo hold capacity of 1,350 M3. And it indicates here that this should be an armor tank. So how did we go ahead and fit this out? So in the high slots, which there are 8 of, we went ahead and put in all 8 Centis C-type large pulse lasers, each one bringing 167 damage to the table. With an activation time of 5.62 seconds each, an optimal range of 43.31, and an accuracy falloff of 6.75. So even for being a close range fit, it can still fight at pretty far range compared to a lot of the other weapons in their close range fits. And the mid slots, which there are 3, we have a Verkalakas, Large Energy Nosferatu. We also have a Predator Stasis Webifier. And we have stuck in there a Predator Warp Scram. Basically, we want to slow down those guys, grab them, shoot them. Now, one of the things to keep in mind here is our guns have a optimal range of in the 40s, basically up to 50. Optimal range on this is 24 up to 38. At 50% effectiveness. And the Webifier itself has an optimal range of 14.8 km. So a lot of times all of this stuff isn't going to come into effect unless a ship gets very close to us. I actually considered putting in the medium drones on this, and I think that I would put in the medium drones if I was just jumping into the ship for the first time to help deal with those a little bit better as well. But for this build, I went ahead and put in the large drones. The warp jammer strength on this is 5, which that's not really why it's there. It's there to turn off the micro warp drives, optimal range of 15 km. You can use the lesser tier of it and be just fine and be effective with it. In the low slots, which we have 6 of, is the Core C-type large afterburner. I am using a Corpus C-type adaptive armor hardener, a Corellium C-type reactive armor hardener. I do have a large C-type armor repairer, and 2 Centum C-type heat sinks, and those are just for the damage bonus. One of the things you can do with the ship, which I'm going to show you right here, is you can swap out one of the heat sinks for another large armor wrapper. And if you do that, your capacitor goes from being stable to 11 minutes and 38 seconds. However, if you are doing some harder content, you can lower your DPS and up the tank on this ship. By adding that basically a whole nother armor wrapper on here. For whenever you do get into tougher scenarios, you'll have that extra boost of healing. But whenever you're doing lighter content, or know that you can just breeze right through it, having the damage is definitely the way to go with the additional heatsink. So for today's run, we're going to be doing a news mission, so we're just going to go ahead and have the extra heatsink on there. The drones that we have on here are going to be Mark 9 Ogres, each bringing 48.5 DPS to the table. And in our low slots, we are going to be running Semiconductor Memory Cell 3s. We do have 3 of those. This ship has a pretty huge power grid, so running those is very effective on it. In the low slots, we have 2 laser collision accelerator 3s. I'm so sorry. We have 2 burst air raider 3s and 1 laser collision accelerator 3. One is for the damage. The other 2 are for the activation time. I've gotten this question in the comments a little bit, so I will go over this here. As far as it goes for optimal DPS, actually having 2 of the activation time and 1 of the damage is optimal for most ships. Now, I can actually showcase that here. So see how we have the 1 damage here, and I do have the 2 burst air raiders for activation time. And we're at 1339.55 DPS. If I was to change this over to the laser collision accelerator, we go down to 1267.43 DPS. And the reason for that is even though we're not hitting as hard with every shot, we're hitting faster. And over a course of time, it's going to equate to a lot more DPS. And so it depends on what you want to do. There still is something to be said by using multiple laser collision accelerators, or for your weapon type using the damage, especially when it comes to cannons. Having those big number hits, you're going to get more of those by using more of the collision accelerators. Same thing with on the lasers. A lot of times you may want to put 2 in there because, yeah, you're going to take a total DPS loss. Your shots are going to hit harder, though. You're just not going to hit as fast. And especially when you're trying to look at capacitor, we can see here, capacitor is sitting at stable, but it was already going to be at stable others here. Let me give something a little more solid to look at here for this one. So if we go and put in another one of the large armor repairs, okay, we're at 13 minutes and 59 seconds with this in, which is the 2 collision accelerators. If we go back to a laser burst aerator, which is the activation time, our damage is going to go up. Did I do this correctly? Laser burst aerator, yes. Collision accelerator. All right, so we have those in, and our capacitor went from 13 minutes down to 11 minutes. So if you're juggling that area with your capacitor as well, sometimes in order to get better cap stability, you'll want to go ahead and go with the damage. It really is going to be how you design and put together the fit for your ship, which is going to work better for you. Okay. So now that we showed that off, hopefully that would help clear up some of the questions for everyone who was asking those in the comments. Let's go ahead and put this back on. All right, so that's pretty much the ship there. Let's go over the stats. So we kind of already did a little bit. The total offense on the ship is going to be 1,435.64, with 1,339.55 coming from the turrets, and 96.10 coming from the drones with a 35 km range. They're actually not going to be in range if we set out at our optimal range. So you'll have to do a little bit of micro in order to make sure you have all of your drones in range as well. Another reason why I think going with the medium drones on this and just using them for defensive purposes would probably be better. For the defense, it has a total of 98,429 effective hit points. 21,570 is in the shields with an EM resistance of 0, thermal resistance of 20, kinetic resistance of 40, explosive resistance of 55. And the armor has 30,827 hit points with an EM resistance of 50, thermal resistance of 35, kinetic resistance of 25, and explosive resistance of 20. And lastly, in the structure hit points, we have 25,551 with 33% resistances across the board. Its capacitor is sitting at 0.23 gigajoules a second, or 0.2% for the recharge rate. So it is cap stable, but just that. All right, capacitor capacity is 33,234 gigajoules with a recharge time of 902 seconds and a maximum power grid of 19,906. We go into targeting. We have a radar sensor strength of 26 points with a scan resolution of 188, signature radius of 334, and it can lock a maximum of 8 targets. And for its navigation, it's moving at 178.35 with a warp prep time of 11.3 and a warp speed of 2. So that takes care of the fit. Let's go ahead and jump into the combat. Here we are outside of the cosmic anomaly, and we are going to go ahead and do our normal stuff. Let's maneuver. And if we turn on the afterburner, we are sitting at 510. So this thing can have a little bit of go to it, but not too terribly much. And lastly, let's look at what our defense capabilities are going to be. So we're sitting at a total effective hit points of 117,665, and the EM resistance is going to be 67%, thermal 57, kinetic 50%, explosive 47 before anything else kicks in. Obviously, we are using the reactive armor hardener here, which will increase more based off of what they're going to use in those areas. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the cosmic anomaly and get this started. So we're going to come in around 40. Let's take a look at our fitting again. 43.
Warp drive active.
I'm just setting up some orbits and approaches in case I decide to use those. I imagine with this fit there's going to be a lot of sitting still. Here we are. Let's go ahead and lock everything up here. Stop that. And let's focus fire. Alright, so these guys are pretty far out. We're definitely going to be doing less than half damage if we can even hit there. If we just start approaching, we should be able to do a little better. Yeah, 900. So we definitely don't want to be this far out. And one of the things that I needed to change here that I didn't, battle settings, automatic lockback, auto orbit, auto attack. Let's turn that off. All right. Let's head in. We should be able to still do pretty good damage even way out here. Yeah, 9,000. So the next thing we're going to take a look at, we're going to activate one of our damage mods. And we're sitting at 1,715 DPS. And we are able to do that at comfortably at 40 km away. And one of the things we can actually stop here, we're in range of everybody. We're good to go. Oh no, we got shot. Okay. So we're going to turn on the Nosferatu there. Even though it is pretty much out of range, it's still going to give us a little bit back. And lastly, we're going to go over to the battleship here. We'll activate our damage mod again, and we'll start going to town. An 8,000 point hit, 6,000 there. Once our heavy drones get over there and start laying in some damage too, should be pretty effective. Now, one of the things I did want to look at here is with all of our skills, a tracking speed is 9.95 with these. So still not very good, but we're going to find out if it's going to be able to take on some of those tinier ships and whatnot if they do get close enough. However, being able to sit this far out means that you can play at a pretty good mid-range with the small lasers. It does get that big laser range bonus, so that's going to be pretty fun to use. You can actually sit back at quite a distance. Like, we don't even need to be this close. I am going to save up both of these. I want to use them both at the same time just to see what the damage would be if we did activate both of them. It does cut through the ships pretty quickly, though. It's making pretty quick work of the battleship. The Hyperion over there doesn't really know what it's going to do. And we barely even nicked our shields. Obviously, if we have some guys who are going to be using longer range weapons, those will probably go down much quicker. Okay. Okay, so these guys started pretty close to us. So we are sitting basically still. Let's take out this guy first if we can. Let's activate both of those and that. And let's see what our damage looks like with both of those activated. 2099. The reason why we're not moving is, again, because, well, hitting these smaller ships can be a little bit difficult. So we don't want to have as much as possible against us. So by not moving, we should be good. And this is also going to let them apply some of that damage to us so we can test out and see how well the tank is going to hold up. Yeah. So we are able to apply a little bit of damage to the ships, but I really do think having those medium drones would do a lot better. Also, if we moved in an opposite direction, pulled away, it would probably do better there as well. Let's move in a straight line this way and see if we can't pull away from the ship and see what happens. That Hyperion is a bit far. Let's activate that. And this, if we can. Hey, there we go. Let's focus fire. And as we pull further and further away from it, once the tracking does start to work, we should be fine with hitting that ship too. There we go. Let's move over to him. And we can stop. We're pretty much golden right here. Oh, let's activate our damage mods. Yeah, let's activate both. Why not? Let's have a little bit of some high damage. So yeah, them spawning right on top of you is probably the worst it's ever going to get. And it can still deal with it, no problem whatsoever. Your cap is going to be stable, but not the most stable thing in the world. Okay, let us take a look at our armor now. Yeah, 61 and 62. So we're in a good spot here. It's not the tankiest thing in the world. Yeah, we're just laying into these other battleships. It's pretty nice. Obviously, this ship would be much better at dealing with ships who have more shield than armor or hull. So fighting these Galente ships isn't exactly the greatest for the purposes of outputting the damage. But it really doesn't matter. I personally like fighting the Galente ships the best because you don't have to deal with a lot of crazy E-war, except for, you know, lock me slower. And you don't really have to worry about more than 2 damage types, which means that you can put these, the reactive hardeners, to pretty good use on anything that uses 2 damage types. Okay. And we are going to be starting the last wave here. Let's activate that. Let's lock up some people. So we actually want to approach. Let's get this bad boy turned around. Because those guys are pretty far out there. Okay. So we're still sitting at that 50% power. We're actually just fine. We're not going to be able to hit that far out. We'll come in, taking a look at all these ships. Looks like we're in a pretty good spot. Again, we can go up to about 50 where we're doing 50% damage, so we could probably start hitting this guy now. Not quite. There we go. Okay. Well, no, I want to keep the focus there, and I want to start orbiting. Let's hit him with our Nosferatu as well. Get back some of that energy. And orbit. Oh, I wish it didn't do that. Okay. Let's activate this. And we can turn on our armor wrapper, start getting our armor back. Pretty easy peasy. So I did let the armor just dip down a little bit more than I normally do. But everything should be just fine. I mean, we are on the last wave. I could be a little bit more dangerous just to play around with stuff. Okay. One thing you do have to watch out for is your drones, because we were out of range. They actually didn't start moving over there to go in and attack. So that left them just sitting out there, having fun. Waving at the bad guys, hey buddies, what's up? So hopefully we don't make that mistake too terribly many times. Let's turn on one of these. So honestly, I do think it is a better idea to cycle through those and stay at this 1715 DPS as much as possible. I think that's going to be way more than enough DPS for just about anything that you're going to be taking on. And I'd let you just apply that DPS much longer. But some people like to activate them both at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you have slower firing weapons. Okay. So again, as we can see here, the capacitor is only going to last for 18 minutes and 37 seconds with as is. Now the capacitor is stable. Oh. Alright, so we're able to finish that no problem. So it's pretty fun. Let's, with the armor wrapper and the shield booster going, not quite cap stable. But that's okay. Capacitor is stable currently. Everything seems to run just fine with it. So, I mean, the close range fit with the Apocalypse It's kind of a mid-range fit, to be honest. You can stay out there at those middle ranges, 43 to 50 km, I believe it was, if I recall correctly. Yeah, 43 to about 50 km. So you're doing 50% of your damage at the 50 km marker, but you can sit up, 43 closer. I don't know how much this is actually going to play a use in this fit. So maybe replace that with a target painter. That might actually do you a little bit better. Or you could have a frigate that's giving you a little bit of trouble or no trouble at all. You can just let it orbit you and you can get your energy back from him. And you just have a little satellite for a while. All in all, I think it does pretty good in the close range build. Do other ships do it better? Absolutely. But this ship can do the close range fit, no problem. And it can also do a extreme long range fit exceedingly well. So Apocalypse, what can I say? I love this ship. I've loved this ship for a very long time, and it is one of the ships that I plan on getting close to day one. Day one for me anyhow. Other people might get there before I do, but yeah, this will be the first ship that I do buy whenever it does come live with the tier 9 update. And I will be jumping into this bad boy. I will not have the same skills that I have here on the test server, but that's going to be the fun part, getting it built up to be able to do this. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you want, join us on the Discord. We have a thriving Discord community. Lots of people are in there. They hang out, do a lot of stuff. So you should be able to find that description link below in the description. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.